4 years ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa said he would trim his cabinet, but fast forward to 2023, it has in fact ballooned. Well, the president reshuffled his cabinet just last week, adding 2 new portfolios and more deputy ministers. He's now facing backlash on his decision, but he's defended it, saying the country needs the ministers. Governance expert Professor Alex van den Heever joins us now to take this discussion forward. And Prof, always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Now, I saw the newsletter by the president published yesterday, titled "The Size and Form of Government Should Be Guided by the Country's Needs." It seems the president here is defending, the size of cabinet, saying this discussion seems to have simply degenerated to a head-counting exercise. Is this the case?
No, I don't think it has. I think that there are strong reasons to criticize this pretty bloated cabinet, and which includes both the cabinet ministers and deputy ministers as well. So in many cases, the actual ministerial portfolio can be questioned, and then the existence of deputy ministers can be questioned, and then the staff that support every one of these people can be questioned. And every time a new minister's post is created, it comes with a massive expense. But when the president talks about the needs of the country being dealt with, we're actually not seeing any results. So it suggests that there's another purpose for the large cabinet, and it isn't about results.
Yeah. Just speaking about not seeing results, I mean, one can be said about the public enterprise department, the very same president coming out saying within the next administration that department will cease to exist. Doesn't that equally speak to, for example, a department that seems to, be incapacitated, unable to, of course, adhere to its mandate and deliver?
Well, you've got 2 types of position or government function that you'd have. One which is cross-cutting, and one which is kind of very focused on a specific issue. And I'll give an example which is equivalent to DPME. If we have women, youth and disabilities, a minister of that. Well, we have a social development department that deals with that. You deal with it in basic education. You deal with it in higher education. So those are, for some reason, we have a cross-cutting minister for functions that are actually contained in other departments, in other portfolios. And DPME, public enterprises minister is also one of those, in that they basically consolidated all the public enterprises under one minister, even though the strategic policy for those areas falls under another minister. So this has become a reason to duplicate ministerial posts, where they actually don't have proper departments behind them and don't really have a clear focus on a specific mandate, because many other ministers carry that mandate as well. You don't need another minister for it. You need to clarify the mandates of the current ministers.
In your view, Prof, which ministries and departments are a complete waste of time?
So if we had to look at that logic that I've just pointed out. So first of all, it appears as though the ministers, the presidency itself has collected a whole bunch of people who have ministerial type functions and allocated to them. So the deputy president should actually be allocated some functions. Instead, there's a minister in the presidency as well. There's an electricity minister. There's a minister for monitoring and evaluation. All of those functions could actually be consolidated into a single minister within the presidency for that purpose. You don't need separate ministers. The electricity minister makes no sense. The minister of women, youth and disabilities makes no sense at all. Education was split into 2 functions, higher education and basic education. It should be reconsolidated potentially into a single minister again. The public enterprises and rural development are also areas that fit under other ministries. So all of those are ministerial positions that could be consolidated under a clarified mandate within existing ministerial positions. So rural development can't be a coherent, it's housing, it's infrastructure, it's roads, it's municipalities. All of those things are theoretically impacted by rural development. Why would you have a minister of rural development when all of those other functions do what you need in any case? Government can clarify its focus and mandate under existing ministers. So you could get rid of a whole bunch And you can also get rid of a substantial number of deputy ministers who I'm afraid have no purpose whatsoever. And so not only associated with these ministries, but also with ministries that you do need.
Yeah, and just lastly, before I then let you go, in your opinion, could there be merit around the criticism against President Cyril Ramaphosa around cadre deployment? Could some of these, executives and ministers that we're seeing being appointed or still seeing being left in their positions be a political chess game being played here, where it's either cadre deployment, it's either loyalty, reimbursement for political support? Could there be some sort of chess game that the president is playing, both politically but using government ministerial positions?
Yes, I expect that this is a large part of the reason for the bloated cabinet and the deputy ministers, is that in many cases people, every time you shift people onto the government's balance sheet, so to speak, you take it off the political party's balance sheet. So government is basically funding enormous numbers of individuals who are appointed without competitive competition for those posts. Plus, there is an impact into the cadre deployment discussion is about ministers appointing people into the civil service itself and into public entities. All of these create the opportunity for quid pro quos and patronage in these ministerial positions, all of which works against delivery, government delivery. So this bloated cabinet is potentially a quid pro quo, a part of patronage politics. And it also basically leads into the patronage politics that has basically infested our public and civil services as well, and has degraded their ability to deliver because the wrong people are appointed into the leadership positions.
Prof, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Governance expert, Professor Alex van den Heever, thank you so much for your time.